cut me too deep. I think I'm dying here, man.
Welcome to the 3B Video Deep Cut Podcast.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes. It was fun.
Aw, yeah. It's that time again for another bi-weekly podcast with your hosts, Rotten Roger DeMarco and...
We can't bury Remix, he's a friend of ours. This is evil. Evil Dead Inks? Oh, is this... Am I breaking the fourth wall with this?
Yeah, I suppose so. The namesake cometh from thine franchise.
Yeah. We are recording this technically less than a month, probably about 2.5 weeks before the Evil Dead game officially drops.
Yep.
And we had theorized how long it's going to take before somebody asks if my gamer tag is just because I'm so hyped for this game. I'm like, no, kind of had it for a long time.
That's right. It's been my handle for a hot minute. Same thing with Roger DeMarco and me.
Yours is more actually fitting with the show here of a deep cut. Mine's just slap you across the face with a severed hand. But yeah, speaking of this meta stuff, what franchise are we delving into now, Raj?
We are covering the Evil Dead franchise, and I'm so fucking jazzed for this. This is a quick one. We're gonna breeze right through this, which technically is gonna be 8 weeks, right? So
yes, we have
it's really not that quick, but
well, we have the traditional 3 of Evil Dead 2, The Army of Darkness, aka the Medieval Dead, much better title. And then we have the Evil Dead remake of 2013, and maybe, if we're feeling froggy, because we'll have some gameplay footage behind us by the time we're done with all this, we may do one on the game as well, since...
Could be 10 weeks.
Yeah, we did that with Friday the 13th, so we don't have an Elm Street game yet, so that's why we didn't do one really for that, but we could possibly do one for this Evil Dead game, because it ties into our overall, our group here, the Slash and Cast podcast guys. Those lucky bastards got the first crack at playing this game with Bruce Campbell himself on the call. So
wild.
Love you guys and fuck you at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
You sons of bitches.
You son of a bitch. But for the uninitiated, and I guess just as a refresher course, you want to let the good folks out there in internet land know a brief plot synopsis of the original Evil Dead, and we will get this podcast underway.
I mean, it's such a, like, one of your favorite words, such a trope. It's 5 people go out into the woods for a night of whatever, and shenanigans ensue. And what's the worst possible thing that could happen when you're with a group of friends? What if your friends become undead, evil, demonic creatures who can only be killed by complete body dismemberment?
Good old Deadites, man. This, if you're not new to this podcast, you have heard Evil and I both kind of profess our love for this franchise. But if you're new here, welcome. And you're about to go on a very fun hour-long ride, because this franchise as a whole, right, is each film is a very distinct flavor of popcorn. And there are people who love the original. There are people who love the sequel. There are people who love Army of Darkness. And all of them are right. No one is wrong. But there's a very distinct tone to each film. And I know your favorite, but I'm going to just go ahead and jump in and say that this one is my absolute favorite in the franchise. This might actually be in my top 10. This is maybe in my top 3 favorite horror films.
I was totally going to say, I would put this in your top 3.
Yeah, this is up there for me. This is one of those movies that whenever I'm feeling like in a rut of like I'm not creative or whatever, I throw this movie on. Or even if I'm working on a prop or something, I throw this movie on and I go, yes. Like, it just gets the juices flowing. There's such a weird, like, creative tone to this movie. It just excites me. Still, to this day, as a 37, 38-year-old man, watching this, I still feel like a kid.
Yeah, and I got to this movie. I went backwards when I was discovering this. I, of course, discovered this when Army of Darkness came out, brand new. Didn't see it in the theaters, but we did rent it when it was new. And watching it with my dad, and he was like, I think this is part of a series called, like, The Dead Evil or something like that. And, like, we'll have to go to the store and look for it. And we found Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. So I can't remember if we watched Evil Dead, then Evil Dead 2. I think so. So I went 3, 1, 2. So this is the second entry in this franchise for me. And my goodness, if people have a problem with continuity in sequels and are like confused or pissed about like Halloween franchise and how many directions it goes, I don't even think like even Phantasm can hold a candle to the wait what
just throw it out the window with this franchise for sure.
Every movie in the series has a different origin story.
And as far as the order in which they were discovered for you, I think mine was 2, 1, Army of Darkness.
Weird.
Or maybe it was 2, Army of Darkness, and then 1. Because I believe, I had seen 2 when I was very little and just didn't know what it was. And then I can remember like 95-ish seeing... That's how it has to be. 2, Army of Darkness, and then the original. Because in like 95-ish, I believe it was either on like Stars or Encore. And I got to see Army of Darkness and was like, holy crap, this is amazing. And then it wasn't until I was like 14, maybe 13 or 14, getting a VHS copy of the first Evil Dead and just being like, this is nothing like the other ones. Like, this is so violent and gross.
This is a horror movie. What the hell? Yeah. This one we're talking today, the 1981, The Evil Dead, is the horror movie of this series. It wouldn't get near back to this level until we get to the 2013 reboot, remake. I don't know how you classify 2013 because it's its own thing, but there's mild ties to the original.
Right.
The odd Bruce Campbell post credits.
That was just specifically for the fans to fucking go, woo, we got him.
Yeah, but that's how we interpreted that. But of course, other people are going to be like, how we're trying to weave that shit into the story of the lore of Evil Dead. And like, why are you complicating something that's just a wink and a nod for us and try to make everything canon? Like, who's he talking to? Why is he turned to the camera to do it? But that's weeks away. Weeks away. Let's go back to a much younger Bruce Campbell. Yeah, and Ashley Williams in this film, which was released in 81, but this was filmed for what, like multiple years. I want to say 5 years of...
Yeah, it was a long stretch. So what happened was, I believe, and I may be misquoting this or misremembering this, but, Sam Raimi, Rob Tappert, and Bruce Campbell and Ellen Sandweiss, they're all in college together. And, Sam's in film school. He's really, really pushing, like, wanting to be a filmmaker in school. And he had made a few short films that they had, like, rented out some auditoriums, and they weren't really doing well. No one really was paying attention to them, but they made this proof of concept film called Within the Woods. It's basically Evil Dead, but it's switched around a little bit, and he gives it to his teacher because he's so proud of it. And this is where I may be misquoting it, but his teacher said something like, This doesn't work. Like, you can't just have crazy camera angle after crazy camera angle after crazy camera angle for no reason. You can't do it. It's terrible. And really tried to shoot him down. But then I think collectively they were all like, you know what? I don't want to listen to this teacher. So Sam Raimi like dropped out of school, and they started kind of formulating this plan to get the funding for the movie. to make a feature-length film, and it's hard, especially, you know, if you didn't finish film school and you're not learning all that extra stuff of, like, what it takes to keep a cast and crew happy for a very, you know, extended period of time.
Man, you feel like that teacher just has like a visceral reaction to seeing The Evil Dead come out, and then a sequel, a third movie. Eventually he thinks it's died down. He's like, oh, I'm not hearing anymore. Oh God, there's another one. Oh God, there's a TV series.
Funny story.
There's goddamn video games about it.
He committed suicide on the release date of Army of Darkness. I'm just kidding. That's not true.
Don't play like that. Like I almost had to make sure I muted to not laugh at somebody because it's not funny. But that timing is oddly humorous. Not funny, but funny, not funny.
Nah, I'm sure that fella is still teaching and still pissing and moaning about the same exact stuff. But
fuck his camera angles. So what? I don't give a shit if he created his own camera angle that's referred to as the Ramo cam.
This is what's so amazing about Sam Raimi, right? Is because he's in a school structure and they're telling him these are the rules, and he's like, why? Why? What are these rules? Who says they're the rules? Well, they who? Fuck they. You know, let me make what I want to make. And it paid off because even Stephen King like has a quote on the cover, I believe, that says like, I've seen the new face of horror and it is Sam Raimi or whatever. Like, he changed the fucking game. You got to understand, 1981 slasher heavy, changing the game.
Yeah, I think you like combine the Clive Barker quote with the the King one. Was the most ferociously original horror film ever made.
Ah, there you go. Yeah, I knew it was something along those lines, but
you're thinking of I know in your head you're thinking of that trailer. Like, I've seen the new face of horror, and it is Clive Barker.
There you go.
The Hellraiser clip, which
bom bom.
Not quite, in my opinion, but that's
not until Hellraiser 3, but we'll get to that eventually.
Yes, but this is like we said, we're following 5 college kids. They all look around 22, I would say 22, maybe 24, and this concept I just don't understand at all. I don't even know if how you could interpret it to me in 1981 as a thing. Why the fuck are 5 college kids driving way the fuck out into the woods to spend the night in a cabin?
I think it's the weekend. It's just maybe to get away from finals and whatnot, you know? Maybe they just need a break, get away. They can go smoke dope and not get in trouble. Because originally, I believe they were supposed to be like gratuitously smoking weed in the cabin. And they tried to shoot them smoking weed, and they smoked real weed, and then eventually
they forgot all their lines.
This footage is fucking useless. We need to shoot it without you guys smoking. So then they shoehorned in the moonshine thing. But then I even think that the moonshine was from local real moonshiners.
Yes.
So they were even getting drunk from real moonshine on camera.
Yes. I guess one of the telltale signs of if you're really drinking real shine is if you just pour enough to fit inside the lid of a jar. That is more than enough. Like, it's authentic Tennessee moonshine should make Everclear, tastes like Mike's lemonade.
Nice. Yeah. So don't be, I'm not fucking around with no Tennessee moonshine, I'll tell you that.
I would love to try some authentic moonshine.
Start seeing fucking deadites.
Yeah, that would be how this would unfold today. Is a college student drunk on shine murders friends in cabin in the woods.
I swear they were possessed. Yeah.
But I just never really understood, like, even if it's a stress relieving, like, we're going to get away, why would you go? None of them are like outdoorsy type. They all seem very mildly yuppie-ish.
Yeah.
Very basic. And they're not doing anything woods related. They're just hanging out in the cabin. I'm like, you guys just could have got a hotel room and done all this.
No shit. And been safer. But I think that's one of my favorite aspects of this film, which, we'll get into in subsequent weeks with the other films, but like how Ash is just Ashley Williams in this film, and he's not heroic in any way, shape, or form. He's like, it's almost hard to tell who the lead is in this movie because they're all fairly like equally represented, and I feel like the movie wants you to think that his girlfriend is the lead, and it almost goes so far as to switch gears and make Scotty the lead at a certain point. But all this shit just keeps happening to Ashley, and eventually he's last man standing.
Yeah, this Ash is not the Ash everyone thinks of when you think of Bruce Campbell's Ash. This Ashley is, like when it comes down to just him left, it's seemingly like happenstance. Like there's nothing standoutish about him. He seems like he will definitely not survive this film, and technically, I guess, according to the movie makers, he doesn't survive this movie. This is a dark ending where nobody survives. But yeah, when you get to it's just him left standing against the evil of this cabin, it's really kind of like almost Friday the 13th Final Girl. Like, it's like he didn't do anything specifically to outlast these other ones. He just like
happened to, yeah.
Well, I guess it's just me now. And you don't, and I have no confidence in him surviving it. Like, if you didn't have the other movies like in your back mind to solidify that, oh yeah, he'll be fine, you think, oh, this dude is not going to make it.
Yeah, well, and that's the beauty of the way the first film ends, you know? It ends ambiguous, but it ends very dark, you know? Like, you could make the case that he'll be fine, but you know better.
Even my optimistic ass didn't do that. That's, I think, the main reason I didn't want a copy of The Evil Dead when I saw it initially. I saw it and I was like, I'm good. I want Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. Because even at that young age when I saw it in 1990, probably 94, I was like, oh, he's dead. He didn't make it.
Yeah, it ends very abruptly. And, and then I love how it ends, and then it's like happy old-timey music playing. So
like elevator music.
That's a thing that like really freaks my son out. Like when happy music plays when violent things happen. He really has a problem with that, and I think maybe that's subconsciously like I really like that.
I like that a lot too, but does he not have an affinity for Tiny Tim?
No, but he's never seen Insidious for sure. But like, just seeing my son's reaction to that kind of like makes me remember what is scary. You know, like we're kind of almost desensitized.
Oh, we're way desensitized.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen everything.
We've seen everything, and we don't have the child's mind of like thinking if we're in bed that night, if we just cover the blankets over our eyes, we will not be attacked. Because I literally used to think like the rogues gallery of slashers were just walking through my room. Because my room was technically one of my first bedrooms was technically, it was like a corner. It was like a big circle, like between where my parents' bedroom was and the bathroom, and one door to the bathroom, but the other one was just like a curtain that was dividing it. So I would just lay in bed, terrified, thinking like, there's Leatherface, Michael, Jason. They're just walking in circles around, just waiting for me. If I ever make eye contact with them, then I'm fucked.
You're toast, kid. That's some Darkness Falls shit right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, like, having my son and being able to see the things that bother him, it reminds me of what it was like to be a kid, and it reminds me what is scary, you know, from a kid's lens. This movie has always kind of struck a very weird chord with me, where, I mean, if you overanalyze any movie, you can pick apart everything. You can see the monofilament, you can see, you know, all the bullshit, all the tricks, and this movie is filled with a ton of those tricks, but there's something about this movie that elicits like a very like primal fear in me. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's the use of the music, just it doesn't feel real. It's a very hard tone to explain. It doesn't feel like it could happen to me. It's not that, but like it just sits in my guts, and I don't know, it bothers me. I guess that's the grown-up term now, is it bothers me.
That was my term back then when I didn't want to say it scared me. That movie bothered me.
Yeah.
Something else that bothers me, not in a bad way, but just like, I'm curious what your opinion is. The basement of the cabin. Which basement do you feel feels bigger? The Evil Dead or the Evil Dead 2 basement? Because I feel like when I watch this first movie, that basement just goes forever. Like, it feels like a fucking dungeon in the Diablo games. Like, I just keep going further and further into caverns and catacombs. I'm like, I don't know how the hell I'm gonna get out of here.
Definitely the basement in the first film feels massive. And that was all trickery, hooplery on Sam Raimi's part, because that shitty cabin that they filmed in didn't have a real basement, so they just cut a hole in the floor and dug down like 2 or 3 feet.
Good enough.
Yeah, Ash could pretend like he was going down steps. And then they filmed that real basement footage, I believe, in Bruce Campbell's parents' basement.
I mean, they talk about in a lot of the making of filming in various people's homes, like their homes. For, like I said, this is a 3 to 5 year production getting this done, so you can see the actors age more and more, which I like that little side bit that Sam put in there. He's wanted everyone's clothes to be timeless. So you couldn't pinpoint when exactly this is. I mean, you can through technology and shit now, but at least he was conscious enough to think in 1981 when this came out of like, very basic, no logos and shit on your shoes, pants, shirt. Like, everything needs to be like it could be bought and purchased today and used. And it also, we get in that basement, we get the shot fired across the bow of a feud that was never a feud that ever really was happening. 2 guys that never met, that just was a friendly, like they never met each other, rivalry. And I can't remember the part of the
Hills Have Eyes?
The part of the backstory. I know it was they get to the basement and there's a poster of the Hills Have Eyes that's torn in the basement, and that's to signify, oh, if you thought that was scary, this is what's scary. And I think there's a backstory to maybe in Hills Have Eyes, like a Jaws poster or something being in there and torn or something like that. But this is the first shot fired from Sam to Wes that this is what real horror is. And then, of course, we'll see in Nightmare on Elm Street, Wes's rebuttal, where Nancy's watching this movie, The Evil Dead. And falling asleep, which subconsciously, every time when I'm watching The Evil Dead, I want to tie in what I'm audio hearing from Nightmare on Elm Street, because they just smashed some clips together of them playing the tape recorder, a chainsaw going off and shit. I'm like, that's not how that scene played out, but okay.
Yeah. Be a way crazier scene if it did.
She rips at a chainsaw to cut the fucking tape recorder in half. Shut it off!
Shut it off! But they ended up kind of doing that a few times, because then in Evil Dead 2, Freddy's glove is hanging, which we'll get to in 2 weeks.
It's hanging in 2 places. It's actually hanging in the basement, and it's hanging in the work shed.
Yes. And that's another thing, too. Like, most people, when they think of Ash, they immediately go to
a goober,
the chainsaw hand. Yeah, like the crazy, like, Three Stooges Ash. And he's so different in this film. He's punching a woman repeatedly in the face in this. And it's not, I mean, it's funny, but it's not supposed to be funny. Right. And that's one of the scariest sequences in this movie for me, is when Linda is possessed and she's in the doorway just laughing at him.
That is what stuck with me. Like, I literally
got a real problem with that sequence.
I literally, when I rented this, watched it one time, and that the one thing that stuck with me on this is her face just in that doorway, and I'm like, ugh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's got a weird, like, childlike laugh. It just really is bothersome. But the one thing that this film taught me and that I still employ to this day.
To this day.
And Sam Raimi had kind of picked this up from the Three Stooges, but is what we like to call shemping. And shemping, you can use any prop. I'm sure there's tons of proper terms for it. Stunt double, whatever, stand-in. But in this film, you really get to see how far you can take that, how far you can shemp someone. And what that means is replacing an actor and hoping that the audience doesn't notice. And since this movie took so long to shoot, there are sequences with Cheryl where it is Cheryl, and then she's swapped out with Ted Raimi or Rob Tappert or whoever can put a wig and makeup on.
You got that random dummy that's in the basement.
Oh God, it's so good.
That's the most stark fake shemping is that there, because you literally have a human that they knock down into the pit, and then we just zoom in on a clearly like a fucking like Muppet
styrofoam head.
Getting bashed in the noggin. You're like, not really conveying that too well, but I mean, just because you're still trying, it's got a charm, but it's bad.
It's very endearing. Yeah.
Yes, endearing. There's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah. But they utilize that so much in this film, and like you said earlier about you can kind of spot people aging. I kind of challenge anybody who hasn't watched this original film in a while. Just go back and really pay attention to the cuts, and really pay attention to when all of a sudden they're showing the back of a deadite. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Because
then that's actually Sam Raimi dressed up, or Ted Raimi, or whoever the fuck they could get to step in and be freezing in the middle of fucking Tennessee or whoever's backyard for the fucking pickup shots. And if you really analyze it, you can pick it apart. But if you're just watching it, it's fairly seamless.
I mean, outside of what that scene I pointed out, like, it's not. I don't notice it, and I've watched it, multiple times since then. Never really picked up on that trickery, that sleight of hand. So
yeah,
I'll kudos to it. It also, I mean, it doesn't hurt that the makeup department was fairly inexperienced in
Tom Sullivan, baby.
Just in the aspect of them using acrylic paint as paint on people's faces, which I even knew then. I was like, oh, I used that shit in high school. That turns into plastic when it dries.
Mm-hmm. We used to paint our faces like ICP with it when we didn't have face paint in between Halloween seasons.
Oh my God.
And it's fine for about an hour, but then if you crunch your face up and then uncrunch it, I mean, it all just cracks, which has a super cool look to it, but probably didn't do our skin any fucking favors when we were like 14, 15.
Not in the slightest, no.
Also, let me just also explain how dumb we are. We used to, like, the black part of the makeup, we would draw with a Sharpie.
Oh, God.
And then we would fill it in with acrylic paint. So even once the acrylic paint came off, you had Sharpie outline. Yeah, so we always looked great for a couple days.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
14, 15, I don't know how to fucking put makeup on.
No, you had the same qualifications as some of the makeup department of The Evil Dead, yeah. Mm-hmm. And because they cake that shit on so heavily, it's hard to really distinguish certain facial features. So that's how you're able to really slick by with doing these shimps in there, because you're like, that could be somebody else. Like, you could totally easily replace, and I would not be the wiser for the most part that that's somebody else under the quote-unquote makeup.
Right. And again, all the credit in the world goes to Tom Sullivan. I know you said he's a fairly inexperienced effects artist.
The rest of his stuff is awesome. I love the dagger. I love the book itself. Different book than the rest of the movies. The movies change almost as much as the beginnings of each movie, as the book looks very more crude in this one than it does in the rest.
And, Tom Sullivan I mean, I'll say makeup artist in air quotes, but was a very, very talented artist. So he did a lot of the, he did all the pages for the Necronomicon.
Yeah.
He did design the dagger and the actual Necronomicon and stuff. But he was a really big Ray Harryhausen fan. He was a big stop motion guy. Like, that's where he kind of got his start. So, and, him and Sam kind of hit it off in school. So when it came time to make the movie, Sam was like, hey, I need an effects artist. What do you think about doing this? And Tom was super stoked and was like, oh, can we do stop motion for the book? Can we do this and that? And he does come back throughout the franchise and do some stop motion stuff for Sam. But in this first movie, again with the term, endearing, it's very endearing. It's very like, to me, that's the only sign of the times is the stop motion. But it's so much fun that, you and I, we've always been fans of that stuff. So it's very easy to forgive it and to just kind of suspend your belief and just enjoy what you're seeing for the art and the craft of it. But, he did a great job on a lot of that stop motion stuff.
Yeah, it's got a charming quality to it. I know a lot of older folks like us, old timers, we dig that stop motion. But the extra on top of it is there's just something how they do the because originally I think in the script or the story was supposed to be they were just kind of like smoke kind of coming out from the clothes and they were just kind of going to deflate. And they decided to go with the stop motion bits, the head like stuff falling off and everything, which it only looks kind of weird when like a gooey bubble pops occasionally.
I know exactly what you're talking about because it's got a matte box around it.
Yeah. Much like the moon.
Yeah.
Very clearly. Couldn't see that shit on VHS. We'll put that out there. OG VHSs, you could not see the outline of the moon, but you can see it clear as day on a very standard edition DVD. But how those faces and arms and bodies just kind of dematerialize of sorts. Like, there's just something, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, like tangible but nasty about it. Like, it's a real, like, I could feel almost like the...
And you can smell it, too.
Smell it like, I'm saying it, I'm literally like rubbing my fingers together like I have like grains of sand in it. Like it feels
grit.
Yeah, like grit. Perfect. You're knowing gritty. All the words I don't know today.
Well, it's early in the morning, and we're getting our brains moving. But that's the other thing is what I love so much about this movie is that grassroots, by any means necessary, DIY filmmaking. Like, okay, the Deadites. It's dying, so it needs to melt or it needs to vomit out a bunch of weird stuff. So, there's sequences with just milk. There's sequences with coffee, soda, Pepto-Bismol, whatever they could get that they didn't necessarily have to make. And the prime example is when Scotty, I believe, is melting. It's like canned rice and dog food, and it's so much just like over the counter, whatever, mix it up in a bowl and throw it in Bruce Campbell's face.
It works.
That it absolutely, because it doesn't look like it was created in an effects lab. It looks like some sort of bodily fluid or some sort of
innards.
Yeah, it looks fucking gross, and it looks like it's a movie. We talk a lot about this with like movies where if you can feel the heat, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you can feel it. This is a movie that I feel like you can smell. Like when I watch Evil Dead 1, I have a tendency to open windows, let a breeze in, because it feels like it stinks. And that's the best compliment I could fucking give it.
You feel like it stinks. I feel like it's the equivalent of as if I'd been working outdoors for 12 hours, like chopping trees, walking through mud and muck, like just a day out in the wilderness. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like you just, oh God, I just need a shower because I feel like I'm covered in the elements. right now, and I need to cleanse my body, cleanse the soul.
Speaking of being covered in the elements, we got to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is...
Did Scotty get raped when he went outside?
Well, we are definitely talking about the tree rape, for sure. One of the most disturbing sequences in this film, but, you know, at the same time, later films kind of dipped their toe into it. I would actually argue that the Evil Dead remake, it feels more gross than this movie.
Oh yeah.
But I love the way that they did this stuff with just reverse photography. I mean, how simple and perfect can you get?
It's good, but for me, the icing on the cake, the parsley on the steak, is the sound design they use for
it's like
the
bees,
tree.
like a swarm or something.
Yes, it's a very distinct sound. I can hear it in my mind as I'm talking about it, but that to me is what is, like, all of it together. I've been like, if you had a different sound design for it, I don't know if it would have worked the same for me, but with just that weird touch of sound design they did, put it over the top. And now I honestly cannot think of any of the tree sequences and not hear that sound in my head.
So that was another thing I was wanting to bring up. Like, if directors have trademarks, right? Immediately I think of like a Brian De Palma and his use of the split diopter, which is one of my all-time favorite shots that he does, where the background and the foreground are in focus at the same time, and there's like a blurry line in the center of the frame. That is the De Palma staple, right? If you had to pick a staple for Sam Raimi, it would be, there are two things. It would be camera angles out of the most ridiculous inanimate objects, and then it would also be camera movements having noise.
Yes.
He really likes these two things put together. And
the two, like, bits of lumber is the first thing that comes to mind. Like,
womp.
Yeah, you have a camera just passing over some bars of wood in the cabin, and he puts a sound design to them as if when we're passing by them. Like, who would think to do that? That is genius to think to do that. Crazy, I'm sure, at the time. They're like, put some sound behind it.
You can't just do that.
Like, you want me to put sound behind wood. Okay.
The other thing that is a Sam Raimi staple that later got, pretty much everybody adopted it, but the only other person to do it right, oddly enough, is Edgar Wright. And what that is the rapid cuts to create a sequence. So, you know, like when Bruce is building his chainsaw hand in the sequel, but they do a lot of those rapid cuts in this first film as well. But Edgar Wright went on to kind of duplicate that in, you know, Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and all of that stuff. And it's a really unique way to take something that is a mundane sequence and get it over with quick and exciting.
Yeah. I'm still thinking about wood.
I love that. But like the camera being inside the grandfather clock.
Inside the clock, which I like. It's not this movie, but the best use of that he did.
I know where you're going.
Yes, you know exactly where I'm going. Is a film he did called Intruder, which I'm sure will be another episode down the road we talk about. But that's a grocery store slasher movie, and we have a Sam Raimi shot from inside a rotary dial phone.
Rotary dial.
That's outside the box thinking. That is just fantastic. Like a shot from inside a rotary phone.
But, and also, I mean, you brought it up earlier, but we didn't hang on it. You brought up the Ramo cam. You know, and nowadays that shit is common practice. For the most part, a Steadicam is a real thing,
Well,
and dolly shots. And
a Steadicam, that's the professional method. The Sam Raimi method is like, let's just tie this camera to a 2x4 and put a protective sheet over the front of it, and then just run it into shit.
And it's beyond effective. But again, this is creativity out of necessity, which is the best form of creativity in this film. So much so that, that shotgun that Bruce Campbell is using, that's a real shotgun. And when he fires it, he's not firing blanks. He's literally shooting shotgun shells through windows. And Sam was like, just make sure no one's in the way, like,
indie filmmaking shit.
How fucking negligent and gangster can you be at the same time? That's what happens when you let a 20-year-old kid make a movie in the middle of nowhere. He's like, anybody got a problem with me shooting a real gun through a window? No? Fucking all right, roll. It's so good.
And see the difference. And in the indie film world, like, that is done probably more safe than all these, because if you notice, like the two biggest deaths you can think of that have happened by accidental gun use in film is a major motion picture production, not some like 5-man band,
grassroots,
put together with a $12 budget that day kind of thing.
Yeah, because to be fair, movie making at a major studio, it's a giant machine, right? And we've talked about this before, and that's why there's so much charm in a movie with only 20 people in the cast and crew.
We had some. There's some of that in this movie too, isn't there? Because if my memory serves, which it rarely does, wasn't there like somebody that was backing the film that wanted the nudity in it and was almost forcing their hands to put some breasts in the movie, which we have 2 quick flashes of breasts in the film.
Right.
And I feel like if I remember right, that was just pressure from some backer that was like, we got to have some nudity in this movie somewhere, somehow.
Titties, son.
Titties, exactly.
I'm absolutely sure that it was outside pressure, because if you look at Evil Dead 2, no nudity, there is a flash of a nipple in Army of Darkness in the extended cut, but you got to be paying real close attention. The skeletons have a slave lady.
Oh, that's a side boob. I don't. Is there a nipple?
You see a nipple. Yeah, you see a nipple on my bootleg cut, the official bootleg cut was put out, like, for real.
Raj has been looking extra close.
I do look extra close when it comes to nudity. That's my job. But I get paid to count titties.
And that's true. That is true.
I can totally see that being an outside interference thing, like, put the boobs in there, because there was a struggle, if I'm not mistaken, for them to get the funding for this movie, because I believe they shot a bunch, they ran out of money, they had to fucking convince people to give them money so they could do more a couple of times.
One of the trivia bits is that Bruce Campbell put up like his home as collateral to get some more production done. So it was a lot of like, we'll film it till we run out of money, then we'll figure out how to get more money, and then we'll film some more stuff then. More reasons why it took, as many years as it did to get done. But going back to the tree rape stuff, what do you think happened to Scotty when he decided to take off? Because you might think for a while that he might be your hero, your savior, and then he totally he has a cowardly moment where he's just like, she's your girlfriend, you take care of her, this ain't my problem.
I'm getting the fuck out of here.
I'm gone.
And I love Scotty, but yeah, that's 100% what happened. The trees fucked him up. I don't know if the trees literally fucked him up, but the trees...
Would that be a different tone if he stumbled back into the cabin, pants around his ankles, and he's
butt bleeding?
Yeah. That's
a trauma movie.
Like, yeah, he took his pants down and ran backwards through a cornfield.
Yeah, that's a trauma movie, But luckily, Sam has some form of restraint. And,
he doesn't Rob Zombie us.
No, we get the aftermath, and Scotty's pretty fucking tore up.
He reminds me of the kid from Sleepwalkers when he's laid up on the couch.
Brian Krause, 100%.
Yes, I totally see them just being interchangeable when they're just fucked up laying on that couch. And it's a unique sequence when he dies, because it's not a grand moment, it's not a dying on the shield moment, it's just all right, we're gonna get out of here, Scotty.
He'd had enough. Yeah. And also, I've used the clip in our live stream countdown, but it's arguably one of my all-time favorite gore gags, one of my all-time favorite horror movie sequences in general, is when Scotty comes back to life and attacks Bruce, and Bruce takes both of his thumbs and pushes his thumbs into Scotty's eyes.
I love and hate that.
You can look at that, and my brain knows exactly what they did,
Yeah.
but my brain goes, man, my eyes hurt. Yeah. Like, I know exactly what it is, and I've seen it so many times, and you can tell if you fucking analyze it that it's a dummy head filled with fucking, like, jelly. But, oh my god, does eye trauma, especially that eye trauma, really get me.
I don't like eye trauma at all. I'm weak in the knees on eye trauma, which we should you should put that in our live stream opener, just all the eye gouging scenes. Put this next to that 28 days later eye gouging, and put that next to like the eye gouging in the gate. Hostile, yeah, just a whole opener of eye trauma.
Zombie. Yeah, Zombie is the king of eye trauma.
Oh gosh. Yeah, probably.
That was on the other day. I just had it on for background noise, and my daughter came through to get toast, and I was like, stop, watch this. She was like, oh my god.
You went the opposite route. Normally our method is stop, and we need to pause and most likely change the channel or turn the TV off for a minute, because we're never going to pause on a good scene. It's just going to make it worse.
Well, you know, she's almost 15. Sidebar, since we're talking Evil Dead, her birthday actually lands on the release of this game. So, happy birthday, kid. I'm going to be playing Evil Dead with Evil.
Don't bother me. It comes out on a Tuesday, which I fucking hate that shit. So I'll still have to do work-related stuff, but I don't have long work days.
Not unless you're sick on that day.
Nah, I'm not sick that day. I believe I have a short day, probably those days, so I should be more than good to get by. But even if not, I'm sure that we'll be playing with a bunch of children who feel like they've been playing for 12 years already, and will just mop the floor with us. Insider sidebar to all of that is we watched some gameplay footage already of the Slash and Cast guys, and I was talking with Raj and going, I don't really understand necessarily all they're doing, and I feel like we're going to have a big learning curve to get over because we're just old man gamers.
We're botching the first 100 games for sure. We're dragging everybody down.
We are super pumped. We are not as prepared as I feel we were for Friday the 13th. We were like, we knew how to play before we played. This, I feel like we have a vague idea. If this was a movie, we skimmed like 4 words off the back of the slip art cover, and we got it. Yeah,
no, and I don't have it at all.
We don't.
I watched both of those gameplay footage videos, and I was like, so I don't get it.
I literally both times had a mental checkout and went, I'll figure it out when we play it.
Right.
Like, why am I trying to worry about it now?
Don't know what's happening. But yeah, so going back to this movie, we got to give our Brown Panty Awards, and I have to give it to Scotty. I just have to. Scotty's my dude. Like you said, he doesn't get like a grandiose way to go out. Like, everybody else kind of has their, sequence of them either getting possessed or dying horribly and coming back type of thing.
This may be the only time I do this, but I'm giving just because I can't not think of it after years of seeing behind the scenes stuff, I have to just give the Brown Panty Award to the entire cast, because everybody has horror stories. But they speak fondly about it now, super fondly about it now. But horror stories, and of the girl running through the woods, barefoot, no pants in wintertime, with maybe some carpet bits or something that had laid out for a path for her to follow, but just running multiple times in the night, and other people with their hands in severed limbs to simulate that after a body that's been dismembered, they still have movement in them, and their arm falling asleep, and the whole cast is above them filming, and they fall asleep, and no one no one can do anything because everyone's passed out. The only one conscious is the one losing feeling in their hand underneath the floor. People having to clear out the shit out of the cabins because they're filming in a remote location. They actually do get fucked up on moonshine. I even vaguely recall, I wish I could find where I saw it, but Bruce Campbell fucked up and like asking somebody, so you ever make it with a city boy?
But also, back in the day, they had to wear these like glass lenses to do, glass contact lenses, and they couldn't see out of them.
That hurts me more than the eye gouging is, those fucking full eye lenses.
Yeah, and pretty much when you're a deadite, you have no pupils, so, and you also got to factor in the fact that it's ice cold, like you brought up. They're covered in sticky Caro corn syrup that's drying, and then they're putting more on top of it.
Which that just adds to feeling gross.
Yeah, and just like, I mean, how miserable that must have been. Linda
blinded with those contacts and hit in the face with that fake piece of wood, but still she wasn't expecting it to hit her in the face. I guess. Yeah. And that's her real reaction when she's hit in the face and falls over. Everybody just got the shit beat out of them. And I can't remember if it was this or if it's an Evil Dead 2 or... I know that Sam Raimi, because he's friends with Bruce, it gives you the full go-ahead to just fuck with your friends when they're hurt or messed up. They're like, so I know in one of them, either this or the second one, that Bruce like twisted his ankle or something real bad, and Sam would just be poking it with a stick, just like, this hurt, like this hurt, or you get a whole lot more Bruce Campbell known about torture in the second movie, but just pranks on people, the filming location being as rough as it was. Like, I just feel for everybody physically and mentally going through this. So I was like, I can't give it to one, I gotta give it to everybody, because I just feel bad for everybody. But they did a hell of a job.
Yeah, they did. And I feel like Ellen Sandweiss, I feel like she actually quit mid-production. I feel like she said, okay, I've fucking had enough. Like, and they were all buddies, that's what's also important. Like, they're fucking super close buddies. Like, Sam wanted to date Ellen for a long time, and he put her in everything he had ever shot. But like, even at some point, she was like, okay, this fucking sucks. You said like a 4-week shoot. It's like 2 years, I'm fucking... It's just bullshit after bullshit after bullshit.
It's very parallel to Brutal Massacre and her role in that as well. Where she even quits in that movie. I've had it covered in shit. Human shit.
What smells like shit?
God, you stink. Mini sidebar, but I like that replacement too of like when her character gets knocked into the cellar, we put a rubber hand coming out of the crack. Oh, yeah. And they just bash it with the end of an axe, and it's like clearly a fake hand, but it's still like I could feel it when they do that. Like it's fake, but not too fake.
It's like the original Night of the Living Dead. They didn't have an effects artist really because Tom Savini went to Vietnam, so George Romero made like a wax mold of his hand so that they could bash this hand with the fucking butt of the rifle, and it looks real bad. I mean, and there's a documentary about the making of the original Night of the Living Dead, and George is like, I made this, had no idea what I was doing. It looks like shit.
Oh, I love that kind of retrospective. But yeah, my brown panty achievement is it's a quadruple XL size because it's going to fit an entire cast of folks for this film. But
I don't even consider that a cop-out. I commend that because, they all really deserve it.
Yeah, even when I was trying to, like, I would focus on one, about, oh, yeah, what about, and I just had a hard time in this day and age distinguishing from the making of. I feel like I've watched probably more making of and behind the scenes stuff than I have the actual movie. Like, I've seen the movie a good number of times, but I feel when I pull the Evil Dead Ultimate Edition off my shelf, I'm super more compelled to watch one of the other 2 discs of bonus materials than I am the movie, just because it's more fascinating. And just our fucking thing is to watch that kind of stuff.
We love bonus features. Well, now that we've kind of rambled for almost an hour, should we move on to our next segment, Evil?
I mean, we can, and I'm curious how it's going to affect you personally, because this is, like we said, in Roger's top 3, I believe, horror films, movies in general, that are just near and dear to the man's heart.
Let's see what they got for me.
We got to look at the darker side of things, because like I've said many times, we are not great film critics. If you want great film critics, you got to go to the Amazon 1-star reviews.
Hated it.
All right. I'll try to be nice and gentle for you, Raj. This first one I don't think will be too bad. This is from Marie Daniels on February 10th, 2021. She says, 1 star. It's not Sam Axe. That's a Burn Notice reference.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Didn't like the movie. Very amateurish. That should be on the front of this movie.
Amateurish and difficult.
Very amateurish. Of course, it's an old movie, so it's expected. Sure glad Bruce Campbell took some acting classes after the Evil Dead days.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to pull that one in because I was like, Sam, oh, that was his character on Burn Notice. Great character. Excellent show. I need to finish that. I'm like 3 seasons from finishing it, and I've never gotten back to it, so at this point, I probably got to start all the way the fuck back over, which is fine. It's a great show.
Get a refresh.
So, next up, we got Rondell Dale Branch on June 22nd, 2021. He says 1 star, bad. Not worth watching. How it became a cult classic, I'll never know.
I'll never know. Yeah, fine.
This one I'm really curious because I know how your mind works, so I want to know if you could pinpoint when exactly this is. So this is from David Augustus Ball.
Okay.
Sounds rich. On December 7th, 2021, he says 1 star, cheaply done. I stopped after 37 minutes.
37 minutes.
Where are we? 37 minutes in to The Evil Dead. Someone listening will go with their personal copy and see where exactly David Augustus Ball called it a day. Let's see if we can.
It's got to be tree rape, right? That's the end of the first act when shit really hits the fan. Could be Jack of Spades, Jack of Diamonds, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Could be right there.
Time has no like construct to me in The Evil Dead. Like I have no idea when anything, like it all just is a thing. I couldn't for the life of me tell you when in a time slot of the course of this film when things happen. I'm just like, this happens, and I sound like a little kid. When this happens, then this happens, and this happens, and this happens, and then it's over.
Mm-hmm. Well, I suppose pull it up on your after we're done with the live stream, pull it up and just jump 37 minutes in.
What happens at 37 minutes into The Evil Dead? We must find out. But we'll have to see. You're definitively you're where are you gonna go? You're gonna go with the card, the calling.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the cards.
We'll go with the cards. All right. So we will all see when we're done, and those listening, where 37 minutes in, that this dude said no more.
I'm 37.
I'm 37. Next up, we have T-Bame.
I don't know what T-Bane.
T-Bame. T-Bame.
Oh, not to be confused with T-Pain.
Or TBA Me. I like that better. TBA Me. On January 21st, 2015 says 1 star, The Evil Dead. If you like a lot of screaming and blood, you'll love it.
There it is. That goes on the cover. That's perfect. How's that a 1-star review? Fucking A.
You know, it's one of those ones you read twice and you're like, maybe he's just confused. He's in the wrong section. I don't know.
Right. Gave it the wrong amount of stars.
Maybe. Next up, we have Peter Z.
Spelled out?
Peter, capital Z.
Oh.
Not even spaced. It's all the other. Peters. Maybe it's it. I don't know. People have... I really wonder on some... Because you have free range to make whatever username you want, and this is what some people land on. TBA me and Peters. But he says on July 12, 2015, 1 star junk. I wish I never bought this item. It fell apart. Terrible product. And the seller should have known better to sell a piece of junk like this for such a high price. Disgusting.
Must be the Necronomicon edition.
It must
You gotta
be.
take care of it. It's foam latex, man. Keep it in a temperature-controlled environment. I've had mine since fucking high school. It's got one little, tear in the seam. It's otherwise fucking pristine.
See,
take care of your shit.
In my mind's eye, as I'm picturing him opening it, it's just like a regular, standard DVD case, and the plastic is falling off as he's cracking open the case. The disc falls out, it's like in
A loose disc.
It's like in Blade 2 when he takes the girl out into the sunrise and she's just disintegrating in his arms in the sunrise. That's what this DVD case is doing when he opens it.
30 Days a Night shit.
Exactly.
Hugging Josh Hartnett as the sun rises.
So a couple more. This is from M. Stewart on March 15th, 2019. Here's our plug for more physical media. He says, 1 star, subtitles wrong. Subtitles are off in the streaming version. How will I know what they're saying?
Was he hearing impaired?
Maybe, or maybe just lives like we do occasionally in a very loud house, and it's more warranted to read a film than it is to try to listen to it. Subtitles
are always on, man. That's just how old I'm getting. I'd like to be able to read that.
How many times have you been in a loud environment, had the movie on, and you keep turning the volume up louder and louder and louder and louder and louder, and then you get done and turn it off, and you come back later and turn something on to watch, and the goddamn TV's this loud!
Yeah, waking everybody up at 2 a.m. trying to watch fucking something.
And you're just sitting there pondering, how could I have possibly been listening to that? I think someone broke into my house and adjusted my volume controls.
Yes. So subtitles are a must. I'll just turn the volume down and let people fucking yammer and just read the movie.
And to round out our 1 stars, one of our absolute favorites. It's a reoccurring 1 star, but we absolutely love it, from Clement Bellhorn on February 27, 2019. 1 star, I did not order this!
Listen, fella. You don't order Evil Dead and it shows up, you just be happy. That's free Evil Dead.
I'm waiting. Every time we read one of those 1 stars, it gives me such hope that one of these days a random movie's going to show up on our doorstep, and I'm just going to take it, and then I'm going to go and write a 5-star review for it, just because.
That usually happens when just Remix as a joke sends me a movie. He sent me that Blu-ray of Fly Away Home I have yet to fucking watch.
Oh, I have that as well.
Because he sent it to both of us. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Funnily enough, that came on some streaming network just this past week, and the wife's like, isn't that duck movie with Jeff Daniels in it? I was like, yes, and I have a Blu-ray copy of it. He goes, why? I was like, because I do.
Because you have to, right? Because it started as a joke, and then Remix took it all the way.
Literally a joke on driving to the set, filming TapeHead, that came up.
I don't even know how it started, to be honest with you. But
shit, conversations in the car with the 3 of us, who knows where things go sometimes. Shit, just listen to some of the stuff we sidebar on this alone. This episode of this show alone.
Talking about geese, man.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden...
Yeah, how we get to fly away home in the Evil Dead.
I don't know
we
either.
Just
I can't even remember what we just said. But now that we're done with the Amazon 1-star reviews, Evil, what does that mean?
It's time to get really nasty, because I'm curious where our loyalties will lie on something we want to take home from the Evil Dead. So it's no more bullshit. It's time to play the game.
It's time to play the game. Time to play the game.
It's all about the game and how you played it, and I know that my wife has become host of the Kandarian demon, and I fear the only way to stop those possessed by the spirits with a book through the act of the modestly dismemberment.
Take it away, Lemmy. Yeah.
Kill her if you can, love her, boy.
That's right, it's time to play the game, and if you're new here, welcome, and you probably don't know what the game is, so allow me to elaborate. The prop game is a deep cut in and of itself where you have to pick a prop from the film that we are covering, but since it is a deep cut, it cannot be an obvious prop, so since we're covering the Evil Dead franchise, do not say the Delta, do not say the Necronomicon. Those are just low-hanging fruit. Not gonna work. You gotta think a little bit harder, and as Evil likes to say, you go deep or go home.
Go deep or go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself, motherfucker.
Crucifix deep.
Ay. So there's plenty of weird ass props in this movie. Plenty of strange things that one could take. Mainly, I'll go first. Mainly, I lean towards the gore props, and there's a few of them that stick out to me. One being the ankle that gets the pencil jammed into it.
Which I love the sound design of that. It's them stabbing an apple.
Yeah, it works.
Really good lord, it
works.
works. I don't know which one's worse to watch, the eye gouging or that ankle stabbing with a pencil.
And that is my other prop, is Scotty's head, getting the eyes gouged out. Between the two of those, I think I have to lean towards Scotty's severed head. I would absolutely love to have that. So it is the deep cut prop that I need to take home.
I feel you should get that tattooed on your ankle. You should get that spider webbing design tattooed on your ankle, like a pencil wound, and that that would look bad fucking ass. I feel a little bit like that on my knuckles, because not too long ago I had Evil Dead tattooed across my fucking knuckles, and I had little trees popping up out of the Evil Dead. I looked at it like, looks like Linda's ankles a little bit too. Nice,
yeah. I'm gonna have our resident artist, Anthony Pond, or aka Tony Tulips, do a Cavity Colors enamel pin style art, which is what is covering my arm, of Linda sitting in the doorway.
Ugh.
Because I really feel like I owe some skin to that sequence.
That just be across your whole stomach.
Ouch.
Well, pain.
There's a lot of ground to cover there.
It is, but I feel that would look rad, super rad. I'm really into that spider webbing ankle tattoo now. Like, that's super basic but cool. I'm looking at my own ankles, being like, do I got enough room to do that on either one of mine? I don't think I do. God damn it. Maybe I'll try that though. Maybe I'll have our tattoo artist that's kind of in our inner circle, if she's interested in trying her idea, going with that. That's gonna suck, but it'll look cool.
Yeah, that won't be fun.
It will not be fun. Anything on tattooing on bone is a pain in the dick. But I don't know why, but I was mildly worried we were gonna be close again on the prop.
Oh yeah?
We weren't, but I don't know why. I just occasionally on this, and when we do the tie-ins on our live shows, I'm like, oh shit, I feel like this might be, our luck is finally run out. We picked the same thing. But for this, initially, I would want one of the jar lids of moonshine. But the thing I want to take more than anything is one of the planks of wood off of the bookshelf that Bruce Campbell gets thrown into.
Oh, nice.
And can't get off of him. Like, that is pure gold of Bruce Campbell acting, is when that shelf is on top of him and he can't get it off. Like, you can really trying to sell, like, oh, this is so heavy.
So heavy.
Something that our child could probably push off with one arm. Bruce is, oh, god damn, this shelf of books.
That's some Halloween Resurrection shit at the end, when that fucking little wheeling cart with a mixer falls on that girl's leg and she's pinned down. I'm like, that's a mixer. That's like a 4-channel mixer. You can pick that up with 2 fingers. You're fine.
And I could just imagine, what do you think Bruce's reaction would be if we had that fucking plank of wood and we're like, would you sign this? This is that thing that pinned you down in the evil. This almost spelled your doom in this film.
You'd be like, where did you get this?
Well, we can't tell you that.
That's right.
I know that people have. There's YouTube videos of people that have made the journey somehow to this dude's private land, to the remnants of his cabin, and taken, of course, shutters and rocks from the fireplace. And I'm like, why not?
Yeah, because that's all that's left now, right? Is just the fireplace.
Yeah, there
now.
was literally like it burned down or a storm, something of the sorts. But yeah, there's literally just like a fireplace and some wood bits. You
It's
can
like
literally
Higgins Haven. That's all that's left of Higgins Haven too.
Yeah, I think there's actually more from Evil Dead 2, like the side shacks are still like there, but of course the roof is caved in on them, they're falling in, but they're still out there. They're private land, so you're and in Tennessee, so you're definitely taking your life in your own hands, trying to go there and take some memorabilia. I don't recommend it unless you have permission to do such things, and even then you're battling the elements of Tennessee, depending on the time of year you go. So
yeah,
be wary.
Ticks the size of dogs out there.
It ticks. Just I'm already like I'm sure Tennessee's got their own Bigfoots, plenty out there. So it's like I don't want to be running and razzing a few babyfoots out there, coming at me trying to fuck me up for taking some of the stuff out of their woods.
Right. Well, now that we've talked about the film, we've done the Amazon 1-star reviews, and we've played the game, there's really only one thing to do, and that's do this all over again in 2 weeks.
Where, yeah, we're going to go from a horror film to, I would say it's one of the pillars of horror comedies.
Absolutely.
Especially in the late 80s. Maybe of all time. Like, if you were to make a list of top 5 horror comedies, I don't know how this cannot be in the list. When we come back,
it's there.
When we come back for a revamped, entirely new story with Evil Dead 2.
On that note, we should probably get going, because, after all, there's a lot of movies out there. Somebody's got to watch them. So why not us? Right?
Work shed.